It's time now for your weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the South region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors South.
Hi everybody, welcome into our show. I'm so happy you chose to join us this week. We're going to do something very interesting in the next half hour. To get this set up, let me introduce you just over my left shoulder and just under that bridge to beautiful Lake Austin. This is the Colorado River that's dammed up and runs right through Austin, Texas. And I can tell you from experience that it is one of the most highly traveled, heavily trafficked lakes in the entire state of Texas. Every kind of ski boat, pleasure boat, cruiser, runabout, yacht, paddleboard, jet ski, you name it, it runs up and down this river constantly during the warm weather months. And because of that, the bass get highly pressured and they get really finicky and spooky and difficult to catch. On this week's show, we're going to give you some tips and techniques that will help you catch bass on your favorite pressured lake going into the summertime months, and we'll use this lake as a test tube. Also, there's one other major difference in Lake Austin from a year ago at this time, and I'll explain what that is as well. And while I'm out doing that, we're running you around your region for your latest fishing reports from your local lakes, rivers, and bays from our expert team of insider reporters. We're in for a half hour of fun. Let's get the Nitro Z8 launched into Lake Austin, and right now let's get this thing started back at the FSN studios. Here's your weekend planner.
Overall, the Salooner tables are predicting peak conditions for fishing activity to take place on Saturday this weekend, with the best times expected to begin in the afternoon at 1:25. Look for the sun to rise at 6:03 and set at 8:09. And we had a full moon this week, so evenings will still be bright with the moon 89% visible. Stay with us, we're coming right back with fishing updates from around the southeast. Plus, I'll return with Captain Rob Ferris to answer your Ask the Pro question.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. By Mercury Marine, celebrating 75 years of marine excellence. By Stren Fishing Lines, the standard of dependability. And by Tracker Boats. It's more than just a boat, it's a tracker.
There's fish right there, fish. Got him, here he comes. Pretty clear water in there. Good fish, we'll just swing him aboard. All right, there's a way to get it going. Hey, welcome back everybody. We're on Lake Austin today. That's a spawned out female right there. Headed into the late spring, early summer months. These fish are gonna be moving out deeper. All right, well, let's start off by explaining to you the tale of 2 years. In fact, I'm gonna kick the trolling motor over here where you can get a look. I don't know if you can tell or not. Last year, we were at Lake Austin and caught a 10-2 and an 8-11 the same day and a bunch of other 4, 5, 6 pound fish. Just an incredible day, catching them out of grass beds, off the outside edges of grass beds. Came back this year, 1 year later, almost to the day, and all the grass is gone. All the grass is completely gone. I read something where they introduced grass carp into the lake. We had an extremely cold winter, and those two factors combined have virtually eliminated all of the hydrilla beds that were thick and holding all the bass in this lake. So everything is just a sandy, smooth bank, and I have seen really hardly any cover in it. It's just a beach, basically. Real difficult to fish that kind of water, so we're gonna have to completely change our techniques from a year ago. And what I did then was just tied on a biffle bug on a Texas rig, and I'm just throwing it out off the outside edges of these sand flats and just hoping to run into a little piece of cover, a little stump, a rock, a little ditch, anything that might hold a fish out here in front of us. But you can see there's a row of docks here as well. Most of those docks are up in too shallow a water to hold a fish, especially going into the summertime months. So we'll experiment around, see how much has changed and what we can do to find, locate, catch a few fish on Lake Austin. Let's get you started right now with some fishing reports. Let's start in Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. Here's Bob McNally, followed by Jimmy Jacobs.
Hi everyone, welcome to Fox Sports Outdoors Coastal Fishing Report. This part of the show is brought to you by Egret Baits, makers of the new Voodoo Shrimp. Like I say every week, that Voodoo Shrimp is so realistic. Every time I pick one up, I want to dip it in cocktail sauce and take a bite out of it. This week, the fishing along the coast has been on fire for cobia. Almost everywhere there's salt water in the deep southeast, there is good cobia fishing to be found. You got to pick your days, watch that wind, and don't take any chances in rough water, but these cobia are huge. I was talking to Brad Stewart up on Tybee Island near Savannah, and the cobia there are on all the reefs near shore within 20 miles of land. These reefs are in 20 to 60 feet of water, and he's chumming to get them. He's seeing some 40 to 50 pound cobia, and there are some larger fish, but they're not always easy to get in the boat. He's chum fishing and using live bait, and that's also bringing in sharks. Brad had a client the other day catch a 8-foot sand tiger shark, which was released, but that's a real awesome fish for this time of year, and that shark fishing will get better and better for the chummers. Over in Mississippi and Alabama, Danny Patalo at Glorin Flows Marina in Biloxi tells me the cobia fishing there also is red hot. A 77-pounder was caught there out of Glorin Flows recently to win a cobia tournament, and there's some other cobia tournaments on tap, as well as the Mississippi Billfish tournament in June. Right now those cobia along the Mississippi coast, which also goes into Alabama, are being caught chumming, throwing live baits to them or live eels. Big jigs can work also, and that's the most fun way to catch them, but you ought to have live bait on board, and a live eel is hard to beat. Trout fishing over in Mississippi also has been pretty good, around a Katrina Reef using live shrimp. Well, that's it for the Coastal Fishing Report. Get out on the water, and when you do, take a youngster with you.
Brought to you by the Old 96 District, South Carolina's real freshwater coast. Lakes Greenwood, Russell, and Thurman offer outdoor adventures and angling action. For fun family weekends or vacations, visit the historic Old 96 District. The full moon in May marks the peak of the bluegill spawn throughout the South. We've just passed that event, so the fishing should be good anywhere in the region right now. Bluegill gather in big schools when they're spawned, and they get very aggressive. All you have to do is find a bedding area and you can fill a cooler right now. These fish are really prolific, so you don't have to worry about overfishing. In fact, lack of fishing pressure is more of a problem as you end up with stunted populations. A number of techniques will work for the bluegill. You can use ultralight spinning gear, fly rods, or just a cane pole with a bobber. These fish readily attack crickets, worms, inline spinners, sinking flies, or popping bugs. In South Mississippi, Lake Mary Crawford is a 128-acre pond in Lawrence County. It's a state-owned public fishing lake that's given up a lake record 1-pound, 14-ounce bluegill. There's plenty of cover here, a lot of standing timber, fallen timber, and plenty of stumps. For a big water option, head to Lake Demopolis over in southwest Alabama. This 10,000-acre reservoir is on the Black Warrior and Tom Bigby rivers and has lots of shallow backwaters. You need to find those bedding areas in the shallows, and the biggest fish will be on the deeper outer edge of the bedding area. There's two great public fishing areas over in Georgia for bluegill. Marvin PFA in central Georgia has 16 ponds. Down in South Georgia, Paradise PFA features over 60 ponds. And all of these should be producing some good action right now for bluegill.
Right on that stump. Look at this. Good fish. Wow. All right. Come here, Big Daddy. There's a good chunk right there. How about that? Welcome back, everybody. Fox Sports Outdoors today. Fishing right in Austin, Texas. Austin Lake, which is actually the Colorado River, 21 miles of the Colorado River. It's got a little dam in it and got a lot of bass in it. But I'll tell you, this place is probably the most heavily pressured fishery, bass fishery, in the entire state of Texas. You cannot imagine how many ski boats, jet skis, paddle boards, bass boats, everything you can imagine goes up and down this river. All right, we'll let that one go back. Watch this. Very clear water. And under the boat he goes. I'll tell you, we're having to do something today because of the traffic, because of the pressure and the heavily pressured fish here. You got to really go to some stealth tactics. Here's a couple of things. If your favorite lake gets a lot of fishing pressure like this one does, anywhere in our region across the southern half of the country, there are some things you can do to combat that and get more strikes. First of all, you can go to fluorocarbon line. This is Stren Fluorocast. It's my all-around favorite fishing line, and I've downsized it to about, I think I've got 14-pound test on here, which is about as small a line as I'll bass fish with. It's very clear. It's got a 0 refractive index, which means it's basically gin clear in water. It's the same color as water. So you can do that. You can downsize, and you can see here I've gone to a little bitty worm. That's a Gene LaRue salthead shaky worm, and I'll show you the tackle again at the end of the show in the Academy Right Stuff. You can do that. Downsize, slow down, and fish every visible piece of cover, and use that fluorocast line, and you'll have a much better chance of getting strikes. Let's get you some more fishing reports. Let's go to Tennessee and Kentucky with Crispin Powley.
Hey guys, Tennessee and Kentucky has recently experienced just a barrage of different weather. From these beautiful, warm, summerish days to some really cool 40-degree nights, highs in the 60s. That affects the fishing in different ways depending on where you're at and what species you're targeting. I want to talk to you right now about bluegill and shellcracker fishing. Guys, this is an awesome opportunity to take a kid or somebody that just doesn't fish a lot and really just let them have a ball. The new moon and full moon in May are going to be the peak time to catch these two fish. Other than that, the bass fishing across the region, the spawn is predominantly over. Most of the fish have spawned and are making their way back out towards where they're going to spend the majority of their summer. Lake Cumberland, Dale Hollow, Center Hill, some of the other highland, more clear water lakes run a little bit cooler, and those fish are a little bit behind. They're still spawning or in some phase of the spawn. Catfish are really turning on right now. On Kentucky Lake, on the Cumberland River, guys, the catfishing is really on. They're moving up on the rocks and they're spawning. Crappie, moving away from spawning areas, and they're moving to their offshore brush piles and summertime haunts. Guys, the fishing's really good right now. I think with the weather stabilizing towards summer, that it's just going to get better. Get out on the water in Tennessee and Kentucky, and we'll see you then. God bless.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Costa Sunglasses. See what's out there. By Luz, setting a new standard in fishing performance. Feel the difference. By Strike King Lures, #1 in fishing. By Lowrance Electronics. Find, navigate, dominate.
There he is. Trying to catch up with him. Hey, welcome back everybody. We're on Lake Austin today. I got something. I caught a couple of white bass earlier, so this could be a white. I've changed again on you, and I'll explain what I've done. No, it's a good black. Good largemouth. Got a mouthful of that stuff. There we go. All right. There's a good largemouth for you right there. All right, well, we've changed again. Talking about finesse fishing and talking about making pressured fish bite. There's a good way to do it, but there's a little key to it here. That's just a good, solid, early summertime largemouth. We'll put it back right here. See you, bud. What I've done right now is I've run up the river, and I'm looking for grass beds. Headed into summertime, pressured fish will migrate like a magnet towards any available grass. That grass provides shade, provides oxygen, and provides bait fish. It's a place that bait fish migrate around to, and so the largemouths will move in around any available aquatic vegetation, milfoil, coontail, hydrilla, even shallow grass. So I drove up the river until I actually saw some grass on my sonar, and I'll show you a quick shot of what some of it looked like. There's not a lot of it here, but I found a little patch of it, and I put on lipless rattling crankbait. That's a Strike King red eye shad. I'll show it to you later. Put it on a crankbait rod. This is only the second time I've gotten to fish this crankbait rod by Luz, and I'll show it to you a little later as well. But rolling it out here on the outside edges of some little patches of grass will get you bit on a highly pressured lake going into the summertime. You got me bit right here at Lake Austin. Let's check in now with some more fishing reports. Let's go to Inglis Glover over in the Carolinas.
Hey folks, Captain E here with your Carolinas report, brought to you this week by Marshall's Marine, located in Lake City in Georgetown, South Carolina. We're your bass boat specialist since 1969. For all your nitro and bass tracker needs, visit www.marshallsmarine.com. And right now along the Carolinas, that saltwater fishery is on fire. The offshore fishing's great. I was out this week. We had a nice day with tuna, wahoo, and some dolphin mixed in. And also we dropped down to the bottom because grouper season's back in, and we caught us some nice scamp grouper. The inshore fishery continues to increase as the flounder are really stacking up, and the redfish bite is starting to get better as those schools of mullet are starting to make their way into the estuaries. The freshwater fisheries right now, everything's on fire as well. Those bass are starting to move off of that bed. They're going to get back out there in that deeper water, but still some great action right now with some large fish coming in some of the local tournaments in the Carolinas. Now I'm going to do something over the next couple weeks, and I'm going to start traveling around and go visiting some of those lakes in North Carolina and South Carolina that I'm not familiar with. All along are places just like my good friends here at Big Dave's 2 Bait and Tackle in Merle's Inlet. And if you're looking for a real good tip on finding out what's going on, stop by places like this, your tackle suppliers, go in and ask them what's biting and what they're biting on. These guys want to sell you the tackle, they want to sell you the bait, they're going to point you in the right direction. I'm looking forward to getting out and traveling the Carolinas and visiting some of these lakes that I haven't been to. If you've got a lake you want me to come visit, please email me at inglis1970@yahoo.com. Tell me about your lake and I'll get in touch with you. And when I'm out for those 3 or 4 days traveling around, I'll stop by and see you and get a report from you. Hey, and listen, this is Captain E. Another great Carolinas report sponsored by Marshall's Marine. Keep your chaos organized and remember, fish smarter, not harder.
There he is. Oh, that feels like a good pull. Coming up. What have I got? Oh, decent fish. Out here rocking and rolling with all the boats. Just like I told you, this place is pretty phenomenal as far as the boat traffic. I tell you, we haven't done nearly as well as I expected to do on this trip. But we've caught a bunch of good quality fish and several 3.5 to 4.5 pound fish. So it has not been a bad trip at all. All right, we're gonna let this fish go back. We're gonna take you to a quick commercial break, and we'll be back for a lot more stuff when we get back. All the gear info you need on the Academy Right stuff. We'll have a couple of my little thoughts on the stuff that matters, and we'll have somebody winning free Costa sunglasses on the Costa Catch of the Week. We'll be right back.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Exide AGM Marine Batteries. Starts like new, stays like new longer. By Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland Lures. With our baits, a good day of fishing is in the bag. By Motor Guide, trolling motors engineered for anglers. And by Nitro Performance Fishing Boats. Welcome to the big leagues.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for one of your questions to be answered by a fishing professional on the Ask the Pro feature. This week, Brian writes, I like to fish with my bass tackle for inshore species. How can I protect my freshwater reels from saltwater corrosion? For the answer, we checked with Captain Rob Ferris.
If you want to use your freshwater tackle going saltwater fishing, there's just a couple things you may want to do. One is your reels. You can put a light coating of corrosion block on them, wipe them down. And your tackle, you don't necessarily need to put corrosion block on as far as your lures and your spinner baits, which by the way work very well for redfish and trout. Same tackle you have in your bass box. Just make sure you wash it off really good when you're done at the end of the day. A good dose of fresh water on all of it, your rods, reel, line, and your tackle that you're using. And that pretty much is all you got to do. You can change your hooks out, which I probably would recommend if you spent more than a couple days doing it. Go ahead and change your hooks, put new hooks on, so when you get back to your lakes, you're ready to go.
Thank you, Rob. If you would like one of our pros to answer your question, just visit our website, click on the Ask the Pro link, and send us your information. Now let's see who wins a pair of brand new Costa sunglasses on the Costa Catch of the Week.
This week's winner in the Costa Catch of the Week contest is Shay Bean of Biloxi, Mississippi, showing a 32-pound black drum she caught out of Biloxi Bay right there on the coast in Mississippi. If you would like to enter our Catch of the Week contest sponsored by Costa and have a chance to win a brand new pair of Costa sunglasses, all you have to do is go to our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. On the right side of the front page is the Costa Catch of the Week area. Click there, follow the instructions, send us your big fish photo. You could win a brand new pair of Costas, and you can see all of the Costa frame and lens styles at their website. To get there, just go back to the front page of our website, click on the Costa logo, and you can see all of those frame and lens styles, including the frames I was wearing on this week's episode called Double Haul in the camo pattern. Next up on the Academy Sports and Outdoors Right Stuff feature, it's the right gear to catch these late spring, early summer largemouth bass here at Lake Austin and at any other highly pressured lake as we spoke about. This is my first chance to use the brand new Lew's David Fritz Speed Stick cranking rod. It's got lots of flex to it, great feeling rod, great handle. Give this a look at your tackle store. We caught the fish today on 3 baits. In the grass, we caught them on a Strike King red eye shad like the one on your left. Then, when we had to downsize our tackle, we went to the Jean LaRue Salt Head Shaky Worm in some very subtle colors, a little 4-inch finesse worm. And then we stayed with the Jean LaRue Biffle Bug. That's a mainstay in my arsenal. It works year-round. One other thing we did is we used the Stren Fluorocast fluorocarbon line, and you can see it there in the package. It's the gray package. That's the one to look for on your tackle store shelf if you want the clearest line possible. The fishing lesson for you this week on Stuff That Matters is this: never throw a catfish. Now, what could he possibly mean by that? Well, one of my greatest fishing stories, several years ago, I was fishing over in East Texas for bass, and I caught a couple of catfish by accident. Well, I thought I would take those home, fillet those up for a nice meal for my wife and I, so I put them in the live well. Forgot all about them till I was driving home. I was driving right through Dallas, Texas, across the I-30 bridges across Lake Ray Hubbard. Thought, well, I don't want to fillet these 2 fish late at night, so I'm going to do the sporting thing and throw them back. So I pulled over on the shoulder, walked halfway down the embankment with a catfish in each hand, hauled off and threw that fish so he would land in the water. Then, walking back up the embankment, I looked down and saw my tendon. Yes, that's right. That catfish fin had split my index finger wide open, and I could actually see my tendon. So I had to go back to the phone, call the doctor. He met me at his office at 11 o'clock at night for 8 stitches. Once again, your lesson for this week: never throw a catfish. Hey, I hope you enjoyed our trip to Lake Austin in downtown Austin, Texas on this week's show. And hopefully we passed along some tips and pointers that can help you the next time you're fishing on a highly pressured lake like this one is. Don't forget to join us for our show. We'll be on at 6 p.m. Thursday and a repeat airing 8 o'clock on Sunday morning. And you can always catch the latest updates and any changes to our show schedule on the front page of our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. From Lake Austin, Texas, until next week, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.